I think this is going to go fine. I'm not worried about it. I have several ideas here. So let's run through some of the ideas I've got in the hopper. See, right now I'm on a client engagement because mortgages and such, which means I'm not really back burner simmering. What should I do for the newsletter the past week and a half? Yeah, don't I know it? So I've got some backup ideas that I've gathered from helpful folks. The first is an annotated search history of someone engaged in the ongoing development of a course about JavaScript. We will not be doing that on the stream. Not live. Though that is, I think, a good one. Sections that got edited out, discarded ideas, would require me to think that any of my ideas were bad ever and discard them, and clearly I don't. It's all C- material all the way through. That's how I do it. Everyone sign up for the course. It's going to be great. Uses this, but for writing a course. How are you making this thing? Is it one big text file? Sort of. What's the process for running reviewing code? Fingers crossed. How are you picking a font for the cover? I didn't. That's covered by the Set Studio team, and Jason in particular. Though I suppose I could delve into that a little bit. That wouldn't be the worst thing. Stats that get updated every newsletter I like, but I don't think I can make a whole newsletter out of it. Words, hours, like I'm tracking my time. I will just get depressed. M dashes, which are, as you can see, I hope the screen sharing is actually working. I didn't even check. I just started going off on a tear, which is sort of how I write these newsletters. Yeah, that seems legible enough. So far, my M dash count across the entire course, including newsletters, is 1,365, which is, I want to say, like a third of all characters I've used total. Get on my level, ChatGPT. So, none of these are haul off and write in. And I am mid-client engagement right now. So here is, for the first time in my professional streamer career, where I implore the chat. Chat, am I cooked? Do you have any cool ideas? Because I have a half a one, but it's not like a good idea. Yeah, see, the stats thing I like a lot, but I'm wondering if that's maybe just like a block I chuck at the bottom. That's sort of cool. Is every newsletter that comes out, you see that my M dash count has increased by 1,000. What I should be doing is what the professional newsletter people do, and like gathering up links I have found. Which, I have a couple top of mind. And just like write a short blurb about it instead of me going off on a tear about, writing. And that's how I spent my summer vacation every time. I think people like the shorter, here's some punchy links and summary stuff, which, if you're going to keep up with JavaScript, that's probably the most efficient way of doing it. But in keeping with tradition on this stream, in so much as we can have a tradition after doing 6 of them. I didn't test. It's working. This is working. That's pretty good, actually. Leaves a little bit to be desired in the presentation, but it's not. It's retro. We'll call it retro. Working. Nice. Thank you, Chris. Chris, I'm sorry I always miss your streams because I'm downstairs in the basement doing push-ups when I get a notification about it. It's just a daily schedule. So here's what I usually do on these streams, and sometimes a post comes out of it. is I just start writing it. I got nothing here, folks. Sorry. Edit on the fly. That's how the pros do it. Always be editing. That's what I always say. That way you don't accidentally have any ideas. Gonna write about for this 6th issue, 6th issue, the JavaScript for, see, these are words, everyone newsletter. Oh. This is the least bit I've ever come up with, is the one where I always forget that I'm greeting people at the start of the newsletter, and then, oh, yeah, right. Oh, I didn't see you come in there. Ugh, difficult technical. It is a little indexy if I do that, though, huh? Maybe I'll pick one. That wouldn't be the worst, right? Right, because I need to make these shorter. I keep landing at like a great wishful thinking on this one. I keep landing at like 1,000 words, and that's a lot to just blast someone with on a Thursday morning in their inbox. So maybe I should focus on doing a quick blurby thing and then like 1 or 2 links, index style. With the course itself, have there been any really difficult technical challenges? Written language is hard. No, I mean, because I'm front loading, just write a bunch of words, just get a bunch of words down on paper. Because I'm going to need those words eventually. The difficult technical challenge is going to be putting together the on-the-fly, like, embedded console, try out this code, components, I guess, which I haven't really dug into beyond prototyping it. That'll make for a couple of posts, because it's actually writing JavaScript. Instead of writing about null all of the time, or undefined, or non. Yeah. I mean, there's got to be something in there for that. No idea what I'm going to write about. Welcome back, by the way. Why? A glimpse into the life of the author. Should I be more? Should I be worse? Should I be more off-putting? Now, a newsletter about newsletters I kind of like. More people should have newsletters. And this is so far a newsletter about this newsletter. You know what? Why wouldn't I? Am I not just some dork on the internet? Some independent consultant? Why not talk about what I got going on? Which means the mental back burner that I normally have reserved for thinking of newsletter ideas, which I normally, any excuse. It normally keeps newsletter ideas simmering at, hell yeah, to quote hometown hero Julie C. No one's gonna know who Julie C is. Julia Child. We call her Julie C. Back on the streets, back on Ringe Ave, Cambridge. Can I have, is there a citation for the barest suggestion of a simmer? That is, chat, so that you know, Julia Child's keep it at the barest suggestion of a simmer is how she designates the correct temperature for milk when you're making a sauce mornay, I think it is. You know, when you mix it in with the roux. It's not true. You can mix cold milk in to make like a bechamel. It's not really a problem, but conventional wisdom is this is a cooking stream. That's what I should do. I should write about, forget all this. Bechamel. No, we're not going to talk about the other sauces. Not yet. Not in this one. I just ended the sentence early. I've got a capital C consulting gig going on the past few weeks. That's probably not a great way to put it. That sounds a little braggy, which means that the mental back burner that normally keeps newsletter ideas simmering at, to quote hometown hero Julia Child, the barest suggestion of a simmer, been fully occupied by... I don't love the vibe there. I'm just like a regular guy. We're just normal men. We're just innocent men. Has been fully occupied by... griping about alt attribute usage and what's really happening to trick React into replacing div with click event handlers. Go off, king. Is one allowed to designate themselves the king? With real deal button elements like Indiana Jones trying to swap some artifact for a bag of... The important thing is that I make myself, you know, I entertain myself with this. Similarly weighted sand. Must he be crushed by lest he be crushed by a rolling boulder. Which happens anyway. Lest he There's a Sisyphus thing here somewhere, but it's like 4 metaphors deep. I've already invoked Julia Child. What am I doing? That's my secret, Cap. All my newsletters are just an intro and a closing with no real meat to them. Speaking of cooking, which happens anyway. Consulting. I'm not going to include that. It's just for me. So what am I talking about? Yes, it is a newsletter about a newsletter. I like this. So yeah, no. Sorry. Nothing in the hot. I know what to do. This is real time. This is not a zilch. 0 like the dog's name. No one knows what my dog's name is. This is what it is. Wow. So yeah, no, sorry, nothing in the hopper. We can close up early today. Well, that's too much. Also, please don't close my newsletter. No. Well, not null. Undefined, maybe. I mean, I mean, they're both nothing. Still about the newsletter, sorry to say. Well, that's not quite right. Not null. Undefined, maybe. I mean, they are both nothing, sorry to say. I still don't have anything to write about here. It's just that, no. I assume if I had, more than a grand total of 2 people in one pharmaceutical sales bot across various chats, they would be just going wild right now, just like hooting and jumping up and down on their desk like, oh shit, here it is. It's just that null represents the explicit, it's secretly about JavaScript. Is that how you spell absence? Of value. Oh, I see what you're saying. I like that. I over automate. I present it as Clippy. Here's your JavaScript wizard. I wouldn't want people to get the wrong idea and think that a robot did write any of this. Not a single word. Right here, barreling the camera, full eye contact. A robot did not write any part of this course. It was me. It's just that null represents the explicit absence of value. You see. Oh, right. House style for Piccalilli, and so the course, I think, is spaces around M dashes, which I'm new to. It is not my birthday. What is this? What is someone gives me? Wait, how do I know someone gives you a calfskin wallet? You're roboting me. This is Blade Runner, which I've only just seen recently. And it was the one with the narration. It's no hologram, man. One of the worst movies I've ever seen, but it's pretty good. It's just that null represents the explicit absence of value. What is the actual definition of null is the defined absence represents an explicit lack. The defined absence of object value and object value. I mean, this is the spec trying to recover ground for the fact that null is an object. So I think I did that in the previous newsletter. Look at this, four viewers there, 2 viewers there. What a time to be alive. Retirement is upon me. Yeah, it is for sure. The defined, well, it's undefined because I, as a store of value, could potentially come up with an idea. The defined absence of object value, which sucks because null means nothing. It can't be an object that means nothing. I mean, it is in the spec, but that's because of an error when it was created by Hatsune Miku in 10 days in 1995. So, good to see you, Cadam. Also you, Jeff, who is testing me for robot. What are they called in that? Not Cylons. I should remember that more. I have a cyberpunk themed JavaScript course. I should probably watch Blade Runner. Thank you. Never did learn origami. The defined absence of object value. Just that null represents the defined absence of object value. Explicit nothing. No, it doesn't define a value. Yeah, and explicit nothing is fine. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. An explicit nothing. It's not that there's nothing here. It's that there's a non-value here. I mean, let's take it from the top. That usually helps me get back on track. A dramatic reading of my own stuff. I got nothing here, folks. Sorry, no idea what I'm going to write about for this, the 6th issue of the JavaScript for Everyone newsletter. Welcome back, by the way. Listen, I've been busy. I've got a consulting gig going on the past few weeks, which means the mental back burner that normally keeps newsletter ideas simmering at, to quote hometown hero Julia Child, the barest suggestion of a simmer, has been fully occupied by griping about alt attribute usage and trying to trick React into replacing div with click event, divs with click event handlers with real deal button. That sentence sucks. Click evented, nothing a little worse English can't fix. Replacing click evented divs with real deal button elements, like Indiana Jones trying to swap some artifact for a bag of similarly weighted sand lest he release a rolling boulder, which ends up happening anyway. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, okay. You get me. We've all been there, right? Yeah, but like I do try to keep it right around 190 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a simmer. This is my come back to this notation. Yeah, because I am saying simmering twice. So that's better. Which means the mental back burner that normally keeps newsletter ideas at, to quote hometown hero Julia Child, I'll come back to it. Right on stream, edit sober, that's what they say. Has been fully occupied by griping about alt attribute usage and trying to trick React into replacing click evented divs with real deal button elements. Look at that, I'm getting spam. Hey, I've really made it. Like Indiana Jones trying to swap some artifact for a bag of similarly weighted, a lot of hyphenated things in this. I'll come back to it. Lest he release a rolling boulder, which ends up happening anyway. And I lose my hat. You get me. Well, I get my hat at the last minute. So yeah, no, sorry, nothing in the hopper. Nada. No, well, that's not quite right. Not null. Undefined. I mean, they're both nothing, sorry to say. I still don't have anything to write about here. It's just that null represents the defined absence of object value, an explicit nothing. It's not that there's nothing here, it's that there's a non-value here. Why am I thinking about how to write this when I have written this here in this very same project because I'm writing a course about JavaScript? Let's look at my scratch paper. All right, nobody give this away for free. Well, at least I'm consistent. Null represents a defined absence of object value. There's an intention behind null. It defines a value as explicitly nothing. This isn't a sentence I'm going to trot out often, but a quick way to square the concept of undefined versus null is by doing a little math. Undefined times 2 is none. Null times 2 is 0. 2 times a value that hasn't yet been defined as anything or as nothing. Let's edit my course while I'm in here on stream. Or as nothing. You've entered the realm of philosophy. And the answer to a question without an answer isn't going to be like 8. that's for sure. It's none. But absolutely nothing multiplied by 2, well, 2 nothings is nothing, and we've got a number for that. The answer is 0. This is of use, right? I can just give this away for free. Yeah, I'll do whatever I want, you know? Let's put a little divider in there, and maybe I'll use and rewrite that a little bit, because why not? Now, how did I write about... Good stuff. This is certainly about undefined. Ah, yes. This is one of those things. At some point, I want to do a promotion where I give like a heavy discount or a free ticket to the course based on dramatic readings of a couple of things I've written. And this one is, look now upon the true face of the void, the very essence of nothingness. Then also look upon the true face of the other, slightly different nothingness, but the kind that you put there on purpose, probably. Implicit absence of value is useful. Undefined represents the implicit absence of value, where a value could exist but none does, or is expected to result but hasn't yet. That value is undefined. Ooh, who is this kid? That's a good sentence. I'm taking that from me. Yeah, all right. Let's use this. There's something else. There was somewhere where I contrasted them. Oh, that's the wrong newsletter. I think it was in null. Oh, here's a good sentence that I'll share out loud with the class. So the bug remains. This is about how null is an object. And so too does the paint and spackle job in the specification. Formally speaking, null is nothing and an object, but a nothing object, which by definition does make it something, because if there are things that it is not, it means that there are things that it is, except by definition it is a thing that explicitly means the non-existence of itself, which, listen, I'm going to go lay down for a little bit. That's what you're getting from this course. The fact is, I don't find myself assigning null values very often. Thank you. Thank you for saying. That's all I ask, is for everyone to tell me that I'm delivering a bangin' sermon. Shout out to Deltarune. Fact is, I don't find myself assigning null values very often, unless I'm grudgingly following a convention established by the project I'm working on. That sentence is in here like 70 times already. This sucks unless you have to do it, at which point do it. You can use it to unmake the value of something, you know, set a variable from whatever it is to null. There's a much stronger case to be made for using undefined here, however. When I want to remove the defined value of something, I want to return it to a state where a value may or may not exist at some point, undefined, not redefine it as the explicit non-value represented by null. For my money, there's really only one time you should be using null, and that's in JSON. This is a good takeaway. I'll add this to the newsletter, right? That could be worse. Per the spec for JSON, JSON value can be an object, array, number, string, true, false, or null. Oh man, the wee hours. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Undefined isn't part of JSON's syntax. That makes sense. JSON is designed to package up values, and there would be no point in making a property undefined when there's no chance anything else in the JSON file could define it. There is a point to defining a property as not having a value, though. For example, if a user in this JSON doesn't have a middle name, that doesn't mean that their middle name is an empty string. The value of that property should be explicitly valueless. And then I include a reference to something that I make mention of several times throughout the course, which is the extremely cool handshake at the beginning of Predator with the unironic biceps close-up. So that happens a lot throughout this. It's inspired by Grindhouse films in many ways. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna take this for this. How am I looking for time? Half an hour. This feels about halfway done, right? Now, if we could metagame this a little. A lot more people on Twitch. And I do like Twitch better. And I've had it in my head that doing this on YouTube is because that's how the grown-up web people do. So I'm sort of secondarily putting this out on Twitter. I guess it doesn't matter, right? End result's the same. I forgot I had a cup of coffee. All right, newsletter. Now, undefined, that's nothing. That's something else entirely. And still nothing. Stealing my own stuff. Undefined represents the implicit absence of value. Where a value could exist but none does, or is expecting to result but hasn't yet. Yeah, I mean everything's gross. That's the 2025 experience of interacting with any service or website or anything. Everything's gross. Twitch feels better to use from my side, like the actual management of it. I assume because it just was intended for doing this one thing. But yeah, what can you do? I mean, where I landed was that trying to do writing about stuff or talking about JavaScript on Twitch felt a little like doing picture-in-picture while a Lego movie played in the large picture. Like it's just lights and colors and blinking and GIFs and nonstop. But it's really, I mean, I guess if you full screen it, 6 of 1, half a dozen, you know? But anyway, that's something else entirely. Still nothing. Undefined represents the implicit. Implicit absence of value. Or a value could exist but none does, or is expected to result but hasn't yet. That value is undefined. Or a value could exist but none does, or is expected to result but hasn't yet. That value is undefined. Let's make it very explicit. Undefined is that's not how you do that. Non-value. Yeah, I can use this. Worst case, I'll rewrite it in the course. But like, what's wrong with giving away a chunk of course for free? There's an intention behind all. No, I don't even need that. I've already talked about that plenty. Isn't a sentence I'm going to trot out often. This isn't a sentence I trot out often, but a quick way to square the concept of undefined versus null is by doing a little math. This spiritually feels right. Like, it is, I think, a good way to square the concepts. But it feels maybe a little disconnected from the actual machinery below the surface. I mean, we know that JavaScript does a lot of things coincidentally. I don't think the spec says anything about how to treat this. Maybe I'll check that before this goes out first thing tomorrow morning. 2 times a value that hasn't been defined as anything or as nothing, you've entered the realm of philosophy. And the answer to a question without an answer isn't going to be like 8. But nothing. Spaces. Explicit. Nothing. Multiplied by 2. Well, 2 nothings is nothing. And there is a number for that. We've got, I don't like that. I don't have a number. I refuse to have a number. I'll never do math. There is a number to represent for realsies nothing. The answer is 0. The answer is not the string 0. We're talking about code, so I guess that counts. Now, is it worth giving advice around usage of? How did I write that before? Fact is. Yeah, fact is I don't find myself assigning null values very often. I'm going to end up going back and rewriting a bunch of this because this has now entered the realm of like LinkedIn post where it's 1 sentence at a time, which I don't know, maybe that flies in a newsletter. But I know I can start a sentence with but I was paying attention in 8th grade creative writing class and it still kind of bugs me. On the other hand, he said, needlessly wordfully, nothing, explicit nothing, multiplied by 2, well, 2 nothings is nothing. Well, there is a number to represent nothing, and 2 of it is still nothing. The answer is 0. I was grudgingly following a convention established by a project I'm working. How many words am I at? This could be worse, right? I want to say something about that date quiz going around. I got 17 out of, 29, 28? Which is both shamefully high and shamefully low at the same time. Undefined isn't part of JSON syntax. I probably shouldn't just use this wholesale, huh? It makes sense. JSON is designed to package up values. Package up key value pair. No. And there would be no point in making a property undefined when there's no chance anything else in the JSON file could define it. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. There is a point to defining a property as not having a value. For example, if a user in this JSON doesn't have a middle name, that doesn't mean their middle name is an empty string. The value of that property should be explicitly valueless. Newsletter subscribers, there's only the one. It's like 600 words. This could be worse, right? Explicitly valueless. Not valueless, because I'm giving it a value that is nothing. Should be explicitly nothing. Italics, because that helps make this make sense. I'm going to redo a lot of what's going on in here, but let's, at 600 words, let's try to wrap it up to keep it under 800. How did I start this? So yeah, still nothing. No. Nothing for this newsletter. But at least it isn't null. I mean, I like to think of this newsletter as a store of potential value. Oh, shit. Potential store of value, store of potential value. Doesn't matter. If I sent it out completely blank, sure. Yeah, that's null. Oh, wait. That's explicitly nothing. Well, there's a case to be made that having a subject line. But for now, at least, until I come up with something to write about here, this newsletter has an undefined value. And I mean, may not be anything. Might still be nothing, but hey. Okay. But hey, that's not nothing. Might not be anything, but hey, it's not nothing. And then the Looney Tunes end card closes up around it. Do I want to say something about that date quiz going around, or should I save that for the next one when that's got a little less heat on it? What does one even say about JavaScript's date handling, though? 8 words. Sorry, everybody, it's just like this. It's just, no. Yeah, this could be something. I mean, no. Waka waka, it isn't, but let's do it once from the top. Maybe this is okay the way it is. Maybe I don't have to even tinker with it. I've been overthinking these newsletters this whole time, but like, really, I'm just sending an email. I got nothing here, folks. Sorry. I want to make this dumber. Sorry. Well, I'll come back. No idea what I'm going to write about. For this, the 6th issue of the JavaScript for Everyone newsletter. The bit is that I'm always interrupting myself. I didn't see you come in there. Oh, welcome back, by the way. Listen, I've been busy. I want to be like, get off my back. Man, listen, I don't think we need to make this whole thing smack of gender. I've been on Tumblr. Was that drill? That was a drill tweet. Listen, I've been busy. I've got a consulting gig going on the past few weeks, which means the mental back burner that normally keeps newsletter ideas. This flow still sucks, but I don't want to not mention Julia Child. I mean, I'm 6 newsletters in without talking about Julia Child. What am I doing? I've had a consulting gig going on the past few weeks. I've had a consulting gig keeping me busy for the past few weeks. I wonder if any of them are here right now. I'm working an extra hour tonight, to be clear. I just looked at the chat like that's me addressing actual people. I mean, you're actual people. I'm doing a great job. I have a consulting gig. It's just short and punchy. I have a consulting gig keeping me busy these past few weeks. I'll come back to it. That means the mental back burner that normally keeps newsletter ideas, to quote hometown hero Julia Child, at the barest suggestion of a simmer, to quote hometown hero Julia Child. I'm not going to not say it, and you can't make me not mention it. Has been fully occupied by griping about alt attribute usage and trying to trick React. Wow, what a sentence. Trying to trick React into replacing click evented divs with real deal button elements. We all know what it's, of course it's real. Like Indiana Jones trying to swap some artifact for a bag of similarly weighted sand. They have click events on them, we know this. Lest he release a rolling boulder, which ends up happening anyway. You get me. This is nothing. I'll fix that later. I'll fix it in post. So yeah, no. Sorry. Nothing in the hopper. Nada. No. Well, that's not quite right. Not no. Undefined. I mean, they're both nothing, sorry to say. I still don't have anything to write up. I'm doing, like, gestures like I'm acting. It's just that null represents the defined absence of object value. I'm not gonna... The defined absence of value. Object value. Technically. Long story. You know? Leave them wanting the course. That's the aim. Null is an explicit nothing. It's not that there's nothing here. It's just that there's non-value here. Thanks for signing up, by the way. Now, undefined, that's something else entirely. Still nothing. Undefined represents the implicit absence of value. The implicit absence of value. Where a value could exist but none does, or is expected to result but hasn't yet, that value is undefined. Null is an explicit non-value, undefined is an implicit non-value. Boy, I am saying explicit a lot. I don't need this because I did that in the previous paragraph. Is an explicit non-value. They should parallel each other. This isn't a sentence I trot out often. I don't know if I even need the example here. Trot out often, but a quick way to square the concept of undefined versus null. It's not a Smash Brothers screen. If only. It's by doing a little math. 2 times a value that hasn't been defined as anything or as nothing, you've entered the realm of philosophy. I could make this cornier on purpose. That might be fun. And the answer to a question without an answer isn't going to be like 8. The answer to a question like, what is what may be something but may also be nothing twice? What could be anything, but may also be nothing, but twice? Isn't going to be like 8, that's for sure. Isn't going to be like 8. The answer is none. On the other hand, nothing. Explicit nothing multiplied by 2. Well, there is a number to represent. There is a number to represent nothing. And 2 of that is also nothing. The answer is 0. Oh, am I at time? No, I'm not quite at time. Fact is, I don't find myself assigning null values very often, unless I'm grudgingly following a convention established by the project I'm working on, or if I'm working with antique DOM methods. which should, and I say this in the course, should return a node list with 0 things in it instead of null when an element isn't found. But, you know, again, the language was designed in 10 days by Hatsune Miku. She really could have consulted me on it in 1995 when I was, what was I in 1995? It was, and this is how I tell time, that was 2 years before Symphony of the Night came out, so I would have been 11. Yeah, she should have hit me up. For my money, there's really only one time you should be using null. Using is, I mean, there's a lot of times when you're going to be using stuff when you should be assigning null values. Should I say you could use it to null out a, no, I mean, whatever. Undefined isn't part of JSON syntax. JSON, it's not like a person named that. It makes sense. JSON is designed to package up values, and there would be no point in making a property undefined when there's no chance anything else in the JSON file could define it. I mean, we're defining it. Something is defining it. JSON file is a list of defined values. JSON a set of defined values. And there would be no point, right? Yeah, that makes sense. There would be no point in making a property undefined when there's no chance anything else in the JSON file could define it. Let's bring it back to vocab we've been using. Explicitly defined values. Do I even need this? Obviously nothing else in there. Which makes sense. JSON represents a set of explicitly defined values. There is a point, but now I don't talk about there being a point. There is a point. There is occasion to. There is occasion to. You will sometimes need to define a property as not having a value, though. As having a non-value. Having no value. For example, if a user in this JSON doesn't have a middle name, that doesn't mean their middle name is an empty string. The value of that property should be explicitly nothing. It's just the finest imaginable point, razor sharp fine point on that. It should be explicitly nothing. Oh wow, I'm getting real Q&A questions in here. Things are really kicking off in Twitch. Backend wise, woof. I will tell you straight up, I don't know. I know the second thing about Java, and that is JavaScript has some syntaxes that are kind of like it. See also that date quiz going around. I'm pretty sure that the reason date behaves the way it does is because it was just kind of lifted wholesale from Java. So I am a wicked biased party here. I would recommend Node. It can do a lot of stuff. I don't know from Java Spring Boot, which smacks of framework specific, and I'm always gonna, to the extent that there is any metal to get close to in JavaScript land, I'm going to recommend closer to the metal. Like, learning Node is going to get you further than learning a framework for something else. But yeah, Node's cool. Node's good. If you can write JavaScript, you can do a lot of stuff. So that's That's my thought leadership. Express.js. I mean, I'm gonna nudge JavaScript. I'm gonna be like, yeah, learn JavaScript for sure. Yeah. Express also framework territory. What this comes down to is either way, I'm gonna be like, if you're gonna learn a framework, learn the underlying language. If you're going to learn a language between Java and JavaScript, I'm going to push for JavaScript because, one, it's the devil I know, very, very much the devil that I know. And two, you can use it in a lot of places. And and this is bias talking too, I've certainly had experiences with Java. So maybe JavaScript. Maybe JavaScript. I hope this is of some use to you. Now I'm at time. Yeah, so I'm not going to have time to say something about that date quiz going around, but I'll do that in the next one. The value of that property should be explicitly nothing. No, you got it. Happy to help. So yeah, no, maybe I got nothing for this newsletter, but at least it isn't null. I do this so much. I mean, I should really learn to type from home row at some point in my career. I like to think of this newsletter as a store of potential value. I don't think that's too braggy. Braggy's not a word. That's why I never turn on spell check. I'm not going to turn on spell check. If I sent it out completely blank, sure. Yeah, there's a case to be made that it be a null newsletter. I mean, that's stupid, but I'm squarely in the realm of stupid here on purpose. That would be find someone who looks at you the way I look at the underscores in a Markdown file. Explicitly nothing. But for now, at least, until I come up with something to write about here, this newsletter has an undefined value. I mean, undefined may not be anything, but hey, it's not nothing. Good enough. Yeah, all right. The Seinfeld of JavaScript newsletters, explicitly about nothing. Should I include current m dash count? Core statistics. All right, quick. I got a couple minutes while I finish my coffee before I go back to capital C Consulting. Chat, a phrase I'm trying on for size. Are there any statistics you can think of that I might want to include as a lark for funsies? Current, these are all going to be current. Course statistics. Creator of JavaScript. Cited creators of JavaScript. I don't think I can get away with this in it, but I like that idea. The literal biblical devil. Yeah, I can maybe get away with this. I can't get away with this. M dash count. I mean, I should do some like straight up and down, right? Word count. Spoilers, everybody. I haven't looked it up, but something like 30,000. It's a lot of course. It's going to be good. I think it's going to be good. References to that one big handshake from the beginning of Predator. 3. That one I know off the top of my head. Okay. Yeah. Okay. This could be something. Have to look that up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe. All right. Let me tune this up. Chat, comma. I'm not going to get used to saying it. I think we've done it. I think this is a newsletter. No one was worried about it. No one was concerned that they weren't going to come up with anything. So I thank you all for your time and assistance in this matter. Though it was not necessary. I clearly would have done this. No problem. No sweat. No one was nervous. No one was thinking that this newsletter goes out early tomorrow UK time, which means it has to be done today, and I'm in the middle of a consulting project, and I have a meeting coming up very soon, and would have had no time to write this outside of the stream. So there was nothing to worry about in the first place. You were all wrong for worrying. So thank you very much, and I will see you all at the next one.